Afternoon, beautiful. How you feeling today?
Man, I'm blessed, highly favored. It's a lot of pollen in the air, but I'm good. How are you?
Can't complain. I'm happy to be there. Could you introduce yourself to the people?
Absolutely. What's going on, man? It's your girl, Tampa Mystic, the industry's most wanted female. I am the CEO of Industry's Most Wanted, a dope podcast that I've been pursuing for over a decade now. I'm also a radio personality out here in Atlanta. You can catch me Monday through Friday, 7 a.m., taking over your airways on 99.1 FM. I'm also on Saturday and Sunday night, turning up, you know what I'm saying? Right now, we're at Creative Media Zone. We have a whole spot. You know, we got a radio station, we got podcasts, we got Bigger Ranking Travel from the Basement. I host events. I just do a lot of stuff within the music business.
Where you from?
I'm from Tampa, Florida, baby.
Okay, that's where the Tampa Mystic comes in.
Okay.
They say the craziest people come from Florida. Is that true?
I mean, I can be a little crazy now, you know what I'm saying? Like, Florida, if you're from Florida, I would say, yeah, you can be a little crazy because there's so many people that migrate to Florida. You know what I'm saying? It's in the South. It's a touristy state. A lot of people come there and they end up loving it because of the weather, the beaches and stuff. So being that it's like a melting pot, yeah, you're going to find some crazies out there.
That part. What got you into the music industry?
You know, I always have to pay homage. Big shout out to DJ Short E. He's from New York, but he's down in Florida. I don't know if he's still there or not. But he was a good friend of mine. He was a DJ at a spot in Tampa, and he invited me to come out and start hosting with him, right? And at first I was like, I don't know. I was always been a lover of music, but I've never like dived into the music business. So he gave me my first hosting gig, and then I asked him, I said, well, can we, bring some talent through to perform, some live talent? So I started doing artist showcases, and then, I met, shout out to Rap Juggernaut, Kingpin, and Bigger Rank, and I met them very, very early on, me jumping into the music business, and they've been a major pivotal part of everything I got going on. In fact, I moved to Atlanta because of those guys, you know what I'm saying? So, started out hosting in a club, and then I started doing mixtapes. I quickly, gained some notoriety in the radio world. Shout out to DJ Clue. I worked with him for 3 years. I had a radio show on Desert Storm Radio, so that really helped me break into the radio world. So, yeah.
Who did you listen to growing up, coming up in Tampa, Florida?
Florida artist-wise?
People all around the world.
Okay, so let's pay homage to Florida first. You know what I'm saying? I'm an OG, you guys. I know I look young, but I'm almost 50, right?
Stop lying to me. You just met. You ain't never almost 50.
I am. I'll be 49 next month. So
it looks good on you.
I thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to hold it together. I'm trying to hold my youth together. So, coming up in Florida, like taking it back, man, I have such good memories of like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jam Pony mixtapes, Jam Pony Express. Gosh, I remember going to the flea markets buying the Jam Pony mixtapes, out of Miami, just because they had all the latest and greatest music. So, of course, Trick Daddy, 95 South, the 69 Boys. Those are like a lot of the artists that had a big influence. R&B wise, of course, like Usher and Aaliyah, God rest her soul, and Mary J. And like, I just, I'm an all around lover of music, mostly hip hop and R&B, not that I wouldn't tap into other genres. Nelly has always been one of my favorites. Shout out to the St. Lunatics. I liked a lot of West Coast music too. I had NWA on cassette tape until I broke it. Like, okay.
My tape rock till my tape pop, one of them?
Yes, exactly. I came from an era where we were buying cassette tapes, you guys. You know what I'm saying? These youngers don't know nothing about them cassette tapes, you know what I'm saying? I remember my dad having 8 tracks. My dad was always a lover of music too. My uncle played multiple instruments. So just growing up, being around my dad, who was a music head, and my uncle who played instruments, really got me involved in the love of music. And I'm a lover of, a lot of different type of artists.
That's what's up. So when you migrated to Atlanta, was this someone in particular that you were interested in as far as artists to get in front of your show?
Gosh, yes. And I made some of it happen. I've always been a big fan of like the Dungeon Family era, right? Shout out to Rico Wade, and shout out to the whole Dungeon family. In fact, I got Big Gip coming through next week.
Oh, that's gonna be hard.
Yeah, shout out to Big Gip. That's my homie. He coming through next week. But one of my very first interviews that I did when I came out here, I got to interview Rico Wade. And if you guys aren't familiar with Rico Wade, he's the founder of the Dungeon Family, Organized Noise. The actual dungeon where Future and
the real, when he was meathead.
Exactly, when all them guys got their start in a business, and to be able to sit down and just pick his brain and talk to him, not only did I get to interview him, but I also got to host a couple of events. He was doing a couple of events, artist showcases, where he was just bringing artists through where they could meet some of the guys from the Dungeon family, and I got booked to host those events. So man, that was one of the main things that I was looking forward to coming out here, is connecting with them guys, and I had the opportunity to do it. So that was a blessing. And one of my first showcases that I did out here, André 3000 came through, just off of love. You know what I'm saying? He pulled up.
That's the God.
Man, 3 stacks, and people didn't believe me. Like when I told security that he was coming through that night, they're like, "Oh, get the hell out of here!" I said, "He's coming," but they said don't. That his management and stuff didn't want nobody to know because they didn't want to create a scene, right? So I kept telling my audience that was there, "You guys, make sure you stick around. I got a big guest coming through." Man, 3 stacks came through, and he was so cool and so humble. It was my first time meeting him. He actually, I was like, "Do you want VIP?" Nope. He stood in the crowd eating chicken wings, just taking pictures with people. It was just such a beautiful experience, and I already had respect for those guys, but it just gave me a newfound respect just to see how humble and down to earth they are.
So Goodie Mob or Outkast?
Whew. Why do you want to ask me that? Why are you gonna ask me that?
It's the real, baby.
Gosh, I really don't want to say, because I love both of them so much, because their sounds are so different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put Goodie Mob on and follow up by an Outkast, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
That part. So there is no one or the other.
I can't pick between the two. I really, not with those guys. If you give me this or that on 2 others, I could, but between them guys, I can't do it.
Future or Gucci?
Future.
Easy. That was easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like Gucci. I do like Gucci. Don't get me wrong, but Future, I like his sound. You know what I'm saying? Like, he really has a very unique sound of his own. Young Thug, definitely free to guys. Thug has a really dope, unique sound. I like people who come out the box and just really utilize their voice as an instrument per se. They create new sounds and different sounds. So yeah, I'm gonna go Future on that one.
Okay, so top 5 trap Atlanta artists of all time. Trap rappers.
Whoa! Top 5. Well, let's see. And a couple of them ain't with us no more. I'm gonna say Trouble. Long live Trouble.
T, rest in peace. That was the homie.
One of my first interviews when I did out here was with Trouble. Like, he was man, what a good dude. Bankroll Fresh, long live Bankroll Fresh. Gucci, you know what I'm saying? I rock with Gucci for sure. Gosh, who else? I don't even necessarily would put them in the trap thing, but shout out to Fabo, man. That's one of my favorite. I love that dude because he's got so much energy. He's definitely not a trap rapper, but he's one of my favorites to come out of Atlanta. Shout out to Pastor Troy, definitely another one. Lucci, that's my dog. I know I went over 5, but yeah, these are some of the guys that I just really, I just rock with them because I think all of them have a unique sound of their own. Like when you put on a Lucci record, there's no denying that's Lucci.
Yeah, that's Lucci.
You know what I'm saying? So I like artists that, just have their own sound, their own style, and not afraid to express it.
That part, you sound like me. I respect the person who can live out loud.
100%.
No matter what way you view life, this is yours and possibly the only one you're going to have.
Absolutely.
So live it to the fullest. I asked the top 5, but before that you said Future over Gucci. Then I asked the top 5, but you didn't mention Future.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was still supposed to name him but yeah, Future, I would definitely throw him in there. Like, shout out to production wise too, man. Like, God, there's some dope producers out here. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Shawty Fresh. That's my dog. I used to manage him. I like to throw the producers out there because I think the producers don't get enough shine as well.
The whole time, that's how kind of hip hop started. It was the beat, and then the poet got over the beat, and it kind of overshadowed the producer and the beat maker.
Right.
But I brought Future back up because I do ask this question a lot.
Yeah.
Colossal or March Madness?
Colossal. My
dog. I see. That's what I've been saying, but all the youngest been telling me now March Madness, but he went over crazy on Colossal.
I think it's based upon the generation, honestly, because excuse me, my lashes keep sticking together, y'all.
You look good, baby.
My lashes keep sticking.
Light flex.
Girl problems when you get lash extensions, hair, they be sticking together. But no, I think it's a big generational thing. Like, I came from an era of music where, like, people were just really creative. And I'm not saying that the youngins aren't now, but, like, look at these guys, like we were just talking about, Outkast and Goodie Mob, and people, even Future came up through Dungeon Family. A lot of people may not know that. they sustained in this business because they have such a unique sound.
Yes, they was being their true authentic self.
Right.
Yes. When did you realize you wanted to become a radio personality?
Gosh, early on. Like, I've always loved music, you know what I'm saying? And again, big shout out to DJ Short E. If you ever see this, bro, like, I always gotta pay homage because he was the first person to book me to host in the clubs. And he was the first person to put me in a situation to get on radio. He introduced me to DJ Culture, DJ C's, and DJ Clue. A lot of people know Clue out of New York. He big out there. That's where I landed my first radio spot, and I was with them for 3 years. You know, taught myself how to do little mix shows. I was interviewing people. Man, I fell in love with it. And I'm somewhat introverted, so I kind of like being behind the scenes a little bit. You know, not having to be out in the clubs and stuff like that all the time. I like being, you know, intimate situations like this. So, and my love for it keeps growing and growing. And I love working with these independent artists. Working with these independent artists is what keeps me going because I like to be a part of their journey. It's cool to interview when they're at the big level, but at that point it's like they got so much going on. I like to be a part of their journey, and then 5 years from now saying I got that interview first. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. That drives me. Like, it just, like, I get excited every time I got to come here and do an interview.
I hear you loud and clear with that. I am working with a young lady named Mellow Bucks. Have you ever heard?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good action down in Atlanta.
Yes.
And I was letting people know, like, 2020, like, she's going to be something to reckon with. And now 2023, everybody knows.
Motion. Yeah, Motion. Definitely I'm familiar with her name for sure.
That's what's up. So who's that person that you didn't expect to know who you were, that famous person that you didn't expect to know who you were when they met you? You were surprised, like, damn, quote unquote, this guy knows who I am.
Rico Wade, like, and he's so legendary. Like, I think that the younger generation may not be familiar with who he is, but he's the founder of the Dungeon Family. It was his house, his basement, where the whole Dungeon Family era started. You know what I'm saying? And when I met him, he already knew who I was. And like I mentioned earlier on, he booked me to host a couple of his events. And that was one of the moments, like, where it's like emotional, it's humbling, it's a life-changing experience. So yeah, definitely Rico Wade. Shout out to Rico Wade.
Shout out to Rico Wade. How did you meet Bigger Rankin?
Gosh, I met Bigger Rankin when I was still in Tampa. Big shout out to Kingpin. I know him as Kingpin. A lot of people know him as Rap Juggernaut. Rap Juggernaut just quickly, like, started supporting my movement. When I first started doing showcases, Kingpin, Rap Juggernaut, showed up at my very first showcase with an artist to perform, and just wrapped his arms around me and showed me love. And he was the one that made the official introduction with me and Bigger Rankin. And me and Bigger Rankin, of course, we hit it off, and we've been doing events together. We now have our own building together, you know what I'm saying? So, I gotta attribute that for sure, 100% to Rap Juggernaut. Kingpin, that's you know, I love him.
Shout out to Kingpin. Top 3 interviews that you've done of all time.
Moneybag Yo.
Okay.
Rico Wade,
standing tall in there.
And Rosse Lamont.
There you go. Pop your shit. Well, we appreciate you.
Of course, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Ms Tampa Mystic, for being who you are. You are a legend in the field.
Thank you.
Thanks for showing us so much love in Atlanta.
Of course, absolutely. Make sure you guys follow me at Tampa Mystic, at Industry's Most Wanted. You know what I'm saying? That's the movement.
That's the movement. Peace and love.